I woke up as the sun was reddening, and that was the one distinct time in my life, the strangest moment of all, when I didn't know who I was. I was far away from home, haunted and tired of travel in a cheap hotel room I'd never seen, hearing the hiss of steam outside, the creak of the old wood of the hotel, footsteps upstairs, and all the sad sounds, and I looked at the crack-high ceiling and really didn't know who I was for about 15 strange seconds. I wasn't scared, I was just somebody else, some stranger, and my whole life was a haunted life, the life of a ghost.
It's been a journey, like just being down here as long as I have and seeing how this place has grown, watching all the new people come down here. It really warms my heart to see. Oh, sorry. It's just, there's so many amazing memories with this place.
When I was working at a coffee shop and I met Jim, and he was like, well, I'm doing a zine. Do you have any like stuff you want to put into a zine? I was like, well, I also do graphic design. So I taught Jim how to do some better layouts and how certain things would fit into the right spot and how you laid out something from beginning to end. And we just kind of clicked, and I started helping do the magazine and illustrating and laying it out and getting other artists together, and whether it was their drawings or it was somebody doing essays and writing stories, and that's when we got that all together. And I started doing my own little zines, and I started writing about rising up against the government and alternative press, and that's kind of where we were taking the magazine. And then we started talking about, wouldn't it be cool if we had our own bookstore? Wouldn't it be cool if we had our own coffee shop? And then 20 years later, we had our own bookstore and coffee shop.
We are Slug City.
And how would you describe your music?
Scrams.
It's Screamo. It's Scrams.
And now, sir, you cut off your nipples for some reason.
Yeah,
I did cut off my nipples, and I'm happy to show.
Please do.
Okay.
Give me the shirt.
Yeah, I cut them off.
Yeah, you can see it. Right one used to be right here, left one over here.
Why'd I do it? It was just time. I had them pierced at one point. I took that out. I pierced them again. I took that out. I just needed to do something with them. I saw probably online some guy had done it, and I talked to my tattoo artist about it, and he told me about this body mod artist that was coming to town, and sure enough, he does that. So I keep them in a little jar at home, and it's you know, they're actually more sensitive than regular nipples.
They don't chafe though, do they?
They don't chafe.
Okay, I always wondered because my nipples chafe sometimes.
And no one can tell when I'm cold. No one can tell when I'm cold.
Wait, can you talk about the X's a little bit?
Oh yeah, well I have scarification too. Yeah, Mutiny was a great space for that show.
Great space,
it was a great space.
Yeah, I'm really. I wish we got to play here more before they move. I think they're moving in like what, like a month?
September.
Fuck, September. Wow, sad. And it's not far, but I feel like this fucking neighborhood is just so gentrified at this point. It's all just like, yeah, mimosa brunch.
That's true.
I was at home here when I didn't even have a home. I was couch surfing. I was sleeping in hotels. Shit, I slept in here a few times too, for a little bit. It was a space that accepted me fully, accepts everyone fully. As long as you don't bring that bullshit around. It's okay if I curse.
So Mutiny is like blanket support of small artists has always been like a huge thing, because you can like, it's like a waypoint in your travels. Like you can always count on coming to Mutiny, being able to make money, to put more gas in the car, to fuel up like your body, get some caffeine going, like, and it's a comfortable space where you can get exposure and people can come and find weird stuff from other travelers, and that's just like a huge exchange kind of point that Mutiny really embodies or holds for people.
You gonna miss it?
Yeah. I'm glad it's not going away entirely, but I'm definitely gonna miss it in this spot.
Memories from this place, they let my good bands, shitty bands, any band come here and play whenever we wanted to, and then you get a big hug from a barista. I'm happy to clam for that. And then you're surrounded by awesome literature and comics. Doesn't get much better than that.
I think a lot of people like me who've been loners for a lot of their lives, not always by choice. Mutiny has been a place for people who are loners to find community. So I just come in here, I work on stuff, I end up talking to people, I meet new people. I mean, just how I ended up in this documentary. I met new people. And that's one of the things I love about it, is that it's an artistic hub. It's all the creative, passionate, sincere people who are trying to see something dope and positive happen in the world.
Everywhere you walk, there's a part of me in here. Matt and I put everything we've got, all our heart, you know. We haven't made a lot of money, Matt and I, you know, but we've kept a really cruel, creative community alive by doing what we do, you know. You can play for free, the money's yours. If you're a local artist, I'll buy your book for whatever you tell me your wholesale is, you know, if you want to make whatever on the deal. So building that kind of community where creative people and musicians and writers and artists all feel welcome, and, you know, kids that might have had a problem elsewhere, you know, we're here to make sure that this is a safe spot, you know, for everybody. You know, if you got hate in your heart, get out.
It's freedom. It is artistic expression. Just to control an element that is so powerful and that can literally destroy all of civilization if we allowed it. But here it is. It's just in my hands. It is under control. Taking it within myself and just upon myself to bring out my passion, to use that element, that powerful element that roars around your body.
When I graduated, one of my friends gives me a septuagenarian stew, the Bukowski collection, and nobody had ever told me about Bukowski. You know, my whole plan was to write words for the common man. And when I got out reading that book, I sat on a porch and read the whole thing in a day and was like, fuck, man, I just wasted that whole degree, you know, because there's somebody already doing it the way I want to do it, you know. So that's what led to the zines and self-publishing and things like that, was not being able to fit in with regular stuff. And I got encouragement from a lot of different people around town that were, you know, groovy people with the zine, you know, because there wasn't anybody doing it back then. There was, you know, maybe 4 people in town that kind of digged with it, you know, did a little bit with it. The people that do Birdie magazine are one of the ones that were doing zines back then, a zine called The Red Wheelbarrow. And that's how I met Matt, my business partner, was doing zines. I know I'm rambling, but, you know, I don't know how to connect the dots anymore, you know?
Anyway, so we would do acid. We'd go and we would run around downtown. And that's when I would be hanging out with graffiti artists, and they would jump on a building and I'd climb up there, and it was fun to, like, kind of, we're going to get in trouble. They would all of a sudden toss up these beautiful compositions, and they would write their name, and they would have, you know, beautiful fades of yellow to red to orange to purple, and I would just be so enamored by that, because they would come up with these brilliant ways of writing their name out and doing these color fades, and then, you know, all of a sudden you realize you're on acid and you're watching these great colors and these beautiful images blossoming right in front of your eyes. I've often associated being on a train with that that creativeness of the graffiti artist, because that was everywhere you went, was graffiti. And you'd pull into Salt Lake and you would see a person's name, and you'd pull into Spokane and you'd see a person's name. You'd pull into the Denver lot and you would see a person's name. And so you'd start seeing a correlation between their name and their style of artwork and their designs and everything. And you would fall in love with it.
Well, this mask I got at an online auction. I thought it was like human size. I thought it had real human teeth in it, but I think it's horse or buffalo maybe, and it's pretty sure it's horsehair. It's terrifying and wooden and heavy.
Maybe it's mammoth.
It might be mammoth. Yeah. This doll talks and she's terrifying. There's an even more. This one over here. She's from Baby Secret from 1965. Her mouth moves and she whispers at you.
Fuck that shit. It's the scariest doll I've ever heard. Will you kill me? Is that what it said?
She said, will you tell me a story?
You ever see that thing in another part of the house? You gotta handle that.
Yeah, man.
This one looks around all the time.
Yeah, that one freaks me out. That's
the ventriloquist.
Yep. When
Jesus.
When there's mushrooms involved, that one scares me the most. Hi, I'm Jim Norris, and this is my wife, Jessica Halpine.
Hello.
And this is our amazing house full of stuff. We're going to show you some of our favorites.
This is my red-billed African hornbill taxidermy bird that is very special to me.
What's his name?
Zazu.
Zazu?
Mm-hmm.
That's my friend's construction
It's the same type of bird that they used in the real-life Lion King movie.
Oh. What do we got in here?
In here, there's so much stuff.
There is. How about these posters? I love the Huxley brothers of the two in the kitchen.
Yeah, that one.
What else?
This poster is one of my favorites. It's like hiding back here.
That's a great way to get out of here.
It's the only like old one with pink on it, and I don't know if it was originally pink or it's just faded that pink.
The other colors held so well, though.
I've just been always really attracted to the circus and the more bizarre side of life, and white walls make me anxious and feels like I'm in a mental hospital and I hate it. This painting is for Aaron White, and so he did me as one of my clown costumes, and
it's awesome.
It's super neat. It's one of my favorites.
Yeah. Love that guy.
This is all my favorite stuff. So these are paper mache masks. It says from Venezuela, but I'm not entirely sure that that's where they're from.
Well, if the whole house was on fire and I couldn't get any of these other books out, the one book I would grab is this. And I haven't read it, but my grandma owned it, and she is one of my big influences, and I loved her to death. She had a rough life. Like I said, she like 7th grade education, tops 6th grade, had a kid at 13, had my mom young, and then she read a lot. She read a lot of like romance novels, but those really basic ones, so she voraciously read that. But this book always sat on her shelf under the TV. So this is the one that she passed. It was like one of the few things that I got. And it's just a beautiful book, and I have a lot of resentment toward the Catholic Church because, how much they took advantage of, like televangelists, that stole my grandma's money. So it resonates in a lot of different ways,
And so Jack was the original like Mutiny owner when it was Mutiny Now.
He's OG. I say if you don't own a Jack Jensen, you're not really from Denver.
That's true.
I got a great Jack Jensen story. I asked him, he's telling me stories about his art. And this like Cherry Creek kind of lady comes in, highfalutin Karen. And his paintings are dirt cheap. I mean, the ones I bought in the day were set, between $75 and $150. So they had an $80 painting, and she has Jack get the painting down, and and she goes, "Will you take $40 for it?" And he takes the painting and just snaps it on his knee in half and goes, "That's $40 worth of it." That's why at the shop I've got that broken picture, and there's Jack in the middle of it. It's like one of his paintings that he broke for us.
got nerve. I got camera shy.
Got some clanging there. Clang, bang, clang. With the big iron door. Yeah.
Little Mo Tucker.
Yeah. One of my links to Jim is being in bands in the late 80s and through the 90s. And something I learned about bands is like people kind of pay attention when you're on stage, you know? So you really do have kind of a voice that you might not have had.
We're Scramble Head. We do songs that are based on folk songs that were written by the Manson family in the late 1960s.
One band I had in the 90s was called Scramble Head, and it was basically very kind of aggro-industrial versions of Charles Manson songs. Before Mutiny, it was a bookstore and a coffee shop. And I'd gone in there a handful of times. You know, I'm a coffee drinker, so coffee reels me in. When I found out that Jim and Matt were opening up this place, and it's going to be books, it's going to be records, comics, zines, some pinball. It's like, wow, this is like it's like a graveyard for all the old media, you know? It's like, and as much as I love all of that stuff, I really didn't think it was going to succeed. Like I was like, you know, in my mind, more power to you guys, but like, man, like, do people read books anymore with the internet? And then once it happened, and I went there, and it's like, oh wait, there's all these young people hanging out, because there's no place for young people to hang out. It's all bars, clubs, concerts, expensive, but they're just hanging out in there. And that's what we did as teenagers, is we hung out at coffee shops, because that was where the culture was.
What's next? People ask me all the time, what's next? As you people sit and age in front of the television set or movie screen, watching with blank, expressionless faces, listen to the voices of people that don't even exist except in the odd fermentation of an LA writer's melon, sucking in the twisted morals like the voice of God. A sermon lasting 120 minutes with popcorn, your communion wafer, and cola, your blood of Christ. What's next? As you cast out those that missed that last film, like a sinner needing repentance. The only way to take penance by watching the video in the months to follow. I suppose we're all sinners. As I walk from room to room, noticing the silver screens, the altars I see before you, and the ancient stories with the morals and message of the day, like Star Wars, Raiders of the Lost Ark, and for some of you, Sesame Street. I suppose the video store is our Bible, rather than the attention deficit sort of Sunday Mass, an old boy slowly doling out a small, narrow-minded view of an ancient, unrated story. What's next? I see it now. The Church of Cinematology, a free movie every Sunday, special events during the week, passing the basket for the LA Mecca. Long live the comfortable chairs and air conditioning at Grand Church of Moviegoers. Long live the Church of Cinematology. And so when I went to school and stuff, I would talk to kids and they couldn't really relate to me much at all. And I couldn't relate to them because I didn't do the things they did. You know, they had nice families or sports, or they had, you know, were able to have friends and stuff. It wasn't really allowed, you know. In grade school, I was really excited about things like, oh, you know, witchcraft and magic and all that kind of stuff. And I believed that all this stuff was, that there was just behind the corner, there would be a dimension door to another place. I knew how to kill werewolves and vampires and all, you know, I knew all this stuff because I, you know, that was stuff that I cared about. I was just living in dreams, you know. They were having a halftime event in high school, and my friend, you know, one of the popular kids, whatever, he was going to play keyboards, and then I would come out and I would swallow, because I would bring my swords to school and swallow them and stuff. Things you couldn't do these days. They wouldn't allow any of that fun stuff. But anyway, it was different times. So I brought my sword to school, and I had to tell the teachers that it folded up because they didn't, you know, their lawsuit and all, you know how it is. And so I go out in the middle, and there was this huge, all the classes, because it was a pep assembly, right? So they're all there in the bleachers, and I take my sword, and they're like, he's gonna swallow it, and they're all like standing up and they're all pounding, you know, and it's just like this massive wall of excitement and all of this. At the nerdy me, could nobody give a shit about. But anyway, I swallow the sword, and I think I just turned around because I wasn't even bending over at that point. And then I walk straight out of the gymnasium, and I almost like fall to my knees because all of that energy, all of that power, it was just so intoxicating. Oh, Jim. So anyway, yeah, so Jim was wanting a blue puzzle piece tattoo. And I was like, oh yeah, I'll tattoo you, Jim, no problem, you know? So we we go down to the basement where all the crazy seedy stuff happens. I set everything up, you know, like, because I'm used to traveling around doing blue puzzle pieces on people all over the place. Because every time I'd get a puzzle piece tattooed on me, then they'd hand me the machine and say, all right, now tattoo me. And so I basically tattooed people all around the world, and as they've all tattooed me around the world. And so here I was setting up in the barely a corner of a table. I have everything ready to roll, and then one of the power cords isn't working. so Jim and I never got to do that piece, even though it would have been, you know, against, you know, statutes and whatever, this and that. But at the same time, it almost happened.
So we got to ride an engine out of town, which is the shit. You know, you don't get to sit on all those beautiful engines. And the way they have the seats set up, you can't sleep because you're not supposed to sleep if you're an engineer, you know. So we got all the way up, I think, past Cheyenne before we had to just kind of do it on our own. So we took it all the way to, we made it all the way to Spokane, Washington. And that was pretty cool. And then what did we do on the way back? Oh yeah, so we made it there, and this old guy, he's pretty cool, but we're coming out of Idaho, and we had been camped out for like almost 18 hours trying to get out of town, out of this fucking spot in Idaho, because we jumped once, and then the bull, the guy that controls the yard, the security for the yard, got us off the train like 2.5 miles, 3 miles out of town, and kicked us off, so we had to walk back and hide in the hobo jungle. So we finally got out. And it was an open top car, like a coal car is what you'd see now, but it was full of like railroad train axles and then just this much metal dust and little parts of metal. So we go to sleep on this on the way out of town, and then it gets fucking freezing. Like, it's the coldest I have ever been in my life. And I'm like, you know, woke up just before sunrise, and the guy I was with, the old guy, you know, he was an old guy that's like, doesn't do real work, you know. So he had zipped himself in the bag, and I thought he was dead because he wasn't moving or nothing. So I got up, and I remember climbing to the top of the car when the sun finally came up so I could get my face warm, you know, just freezing to death. And then I'm sitting there on top of this pile of axles while the train's going through Idaho going, well, I don't know what I'm going to tell his wife. You know, what am I going to tell him? Should I throw the stuff off the train? Am I going to have to dump the dude? You know, what should I do? And finally he woke up and was like, you know, I'm just a sound sleeper.
There's always the clickety-clack and clickety-clack. And that's when I kind of made the connection with Johnny Cash and the beats in his song, and you hear the train a-coming.
Well, there's the rhythm of the tracks, you know, like the Johnny Cash songs, you know, that he's playing from knowledge of that sound. And you can hear these chick, 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 and it becomes this crazy mantra. The longer you're on it, you can hear voices and stuff whispering in the sounds the train's making, because it's really rhythmic and cool. And that feeling when you're looking out and there's nothing, like you could just die right there in the middle of nowhere and nobody would find you. It's the greatest feeling in the whole world. It's the most free that I've ever felt, period. And I was telling you before that if everything goes south in my life, that would be what I would go, is I would just go hop trains again. You know, solo, grow my beard out really long, like fucking Utah Phillips or who knows, ZZ Top. Sticking it to the man isn't always throwing a Molotov. Sticking it to the man isn't fucking, you know, fighting cops. You know, it's making sure that everyone in your neighborhood has food. Everyone in your neighborhood has shelter, because all you can influence is the people around you. I can't do anything about what's happening in Australia, Canada, or nothing, but I can make a difference about what's happening right here in my community.
But you live a good life. You're still breathing. You're blessed. Remember that, no matter what the stress.
Lift up your eyes upon this day breaking for you. Give birth again to the dream.
And by that, I mean, I want to teach my future children what love is.
And say simply, very simply, with hope, good morning.
This is her mutiny. I want to go where it's always warm in the far corners of your eyes, where hope and constant sunrise. I want to live only until I want to die. I want a desk in a tiny room 3 stories up, writing marriage proposals through her legs. I want to escape with the story, stretch it out 3,600 miles, moving with the many and plentiful, Ideas strapped to my brain like a suicide bomb, and someday, when I am home and very tired, I will finally sleep.